3, 2, 1.
Ooh, welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. This is November the 22nd, 2021. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
Then November in Canada means it's cold season, Carl. So if I sound a little gravelly today, we skipped cold season last year because everyone was so clean. Apparently, the world has gone back to being a filth bag.
Just discuss, and you've got your own little filth bag at home now.
Yes, just disgusting.
So she's just bringing back everything from daycare.
She got sick last week, so she was home all week, and which means, of course, I got it.
It was nice. I mean, there was a lot of things in COVID that were terrible, but not getting sick at all was a real perk.
Totally. I think the overall awareness it brought to cleanliness, yes, being clean at home and wiping down surfaces, but also public cleanliness and what to do if you have to cough or sneeze or something. That is definitely the silver lining through this whole thing.
I have not been on public transit, thankfully, through this past year very much. But the things that you see on public transit really show you how far we have to come as a society when it comes to cleanliness.
Oh, yeah. So I think the last year has been good in that regard. It's just a matter of how long is this going to last before people start forgetting it? Because I think people are going to have very short memories about it.
I feel like next year we'll be back to normal.
Yeah, probably.
Next cold season will just be a regular cold season. But hey, glad you're not doing too poorly over there. So
we'll make it through, and we got a lot to cover today.
We do. I want to start with something that we very, very rarely talk about on this show, and it is the state of Omaha. Have you ever been to Omaha?
I haven't.
Do you even know where it is?
I want to say it's somewhere in the central United States. Okay. It's not a state. Okay, hold on. Let me figure this out, okay? Because now that I say this, I think I might be wrong about Central. So Omaha is not a state. Is that incorrect?
Omaha is a city. You are correct.
Omaha,
did I say it was a state?
No, you didn't. In my head, I just assumed it was.
Okay.
Omaha is in Wisconsin.
No.
I don't know. I don't know where it is.
Omaha is it's actually right on the border. It's in Nebraska, but it's right on the border of Nebraska and Iowa. So that's right where you thought it was.
Omaha's in Nebraska?
Yeah.
Huh. Today I learned.
Now, that's the thing you learned today. But I think we all learned something about Omaha this week because they have a junior hockey team in the USHL, which made news because of how terribly this team had been run of late. I guess like many teams, right? Trying to cut costs in this weird time.
Yep.
And so they went out and they made 3 sweeping moves. Move number 1, they fired the video coach. Move number 2, they canceled team breakfast post-game dinner. Post-game dinner was canceled.
Yeah.
And team breakfast would be quite the thing.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
And they stopped giving out as much equipment to players. So players did not take kindly to this. If you were on this team, what kind of move do you think, how would you handle this being done as a cost-cutting measure? Hey, your video coach, he's gone, meals gone, and equipment gone.
I think I could do without the meals, the post-game meals. I think the equipment one would hurt because equipment's expensive.
You also, but these are 18, 19-year-olds playing.
Yes.
Right? That post-game meal, pretty important to an 18, 19-year-old. That's probably
true.
Probably being billeted, right?
True.
So,
and it's whatever they're feeding them is probably going to be more nutritious than what they're going to go get on their own.
Right. The McDonald's drive-thru on the way home is not super great.
No, it's not.
So the players took a stance on this whole thing. and said, we're not playing. That was their approach. They said, hey, we're not playing, because in the midst of all this, they also let go the general manager and the coach, but realized that they didn't have an actual coach who could come and coach. So they had to bring this guy back. So they fired him and then bring him back for the weekend games, because they're like, hey, like, we need a coach. The player said the only way we're showing up is if you hire that guy back. So they hired him back for one weekend, then they let him go. They had games this past weekend that the team did not show up for because of this. The league has stepped in now and appointed a president of the organization. They've appointed a head coach to the team. And it looks like the Omaha Lancers are getting back to being close to a functioning organization again. But for a team that, I mean, they've been around since, I guess, 1986. So this isn't a new team, but man, just full dysfunction.
And the crazy thing too is they're good. Like, they're winning hockey games. And you mentioned they let that coach go and brought him back for the weekend games. He swept that weekend. They won every single game they played.
Yeah.
And then the team was like, all right, just kidding. Bye, you're fired. And then the guy they promoted went to the owner's office and said, hey, now that I'm getting a promotion, can I get more money for it? And the guy chased him out of the room, yelling at him all the way down the hallway.
Like, yeah, because they promoted.
What is going on?
Their plan was to promote the assistant coach. And he's like, well, I'm not assistant. I'm head coach. I want head coach money.
So he got yelled at.
Unreal.
And chased down the hallway. Like, what? Yeah, what is going on?
So everyone on the coaching staff resigned. Everyone was out. So now they've got to bring in all new management, everything.
And apparently this new coach that they promoted went to the players and said, look, guys, if you want to play this weekend, I will be there for you. I will coach you. But if you are not down for anything that's going on right now, I will walk out with you. And they all walked out.
Yeah. And I mean, these are players. This one article that I was reading on it, I guess there's 28 players on the roster. 19 of them are slated to go to Div 1 college for hockey programs this year. It's like, this is a team that, like, these are guys with a future and want to be like, to take that stance and say, look, like, I'd rather just not play than deal with this, right? As like a way to make a stance. But also, I mean, this is their futures, right? That's why they're willing to take these big steps. Because if, you know, for some of these guys, this is their chance to go to the next level.
Yeah. And good for them for taking a stand and speaking up for themselves and for each other.
Yeah. I do feel, I mean, I'm not sure if bad is the word, but like, someone still has to be running their social media accounts. And so you've got, like, in the last few days, right? Statement, like, it's just been a number of statements, right? Coaching staff update on November 18th, a statement from the league, then a new update from the league. And today, happy 19th birthday to Lancers forward Jared Wright. So, hey, Jared, if you're listening, happy birthday.
That birthday tweet was totally scheduled weeks ago, right?
Yeah. It's got
it's totally scheduled. And this poor social media intern working for them is just, it's probably the busiest they've ever been. Yeah. And they're just slotting in all these official press releases between the fun stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like, certainly lots of retweets on these, but interesting times in Omaha. But it looks like they're going to be back to normal, or as normal as can be, until it sounds like all of management needs to go. So
yeah, now I got to look up where Omaha is on the map.
Okay. I'm not going to lie. I did think that originally it did cross my mind that it could be a state. But if you had have asked me that question, like when you did, I was like, no, Omaha is in Nebraska. I mean, I'm sure there's several Omahas, but this one's in Nebraska.
It just sounds like a middle of the country kind of place. Oh, it is like right in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
Where's Wyoming? Man, I was way off on the Wyoming thing.
It's not that far off, is it? Wyoming's more south. Is it
It's
not?
like, I guess it's one state over.
Yeah,
No, it's just west.
Just west? Okay.
Another geography lesson on the Fourth Line podcast.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. I always find, I mean, as someone who did not grow up in the States, I always find the Midwest to be it's just the Midwest. And there's just all these cities that you hear of that are in the Midwest, and they're somewhere in there.
Yeah.
All the way
totally.
From like that slate of the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma. Those could be in any order. Even north and south, they could be flip-flop for all I know. North could be south and south could be north.
Totally. And I recognize all the state names, but if you just change the positions of all of those state names, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
I thought Nebraska was way further west than it is.
Yeah. I mean, same. So anyways, thanks for tuning into Geography with the Carl and Nick. Next week, we'll talk about a different state. How many states have you been to?
Oh, man, we're not going to do this right now.
Okay.
We're not going to do this right now. I've been to a lot of states.
Okay. Well, that's good. I've been
not
to very
Nebraska.
Few. No, I've not been to the Midwest.
No, me either. I've done probably most of each coast.
That's same. I mean, isn't the West Coast just 3 states? So yes,
yeah,
I also have been to 2 of the 3 states on the West Coast.
And I also haven't done Washington. So
you've been to California is what you're telling me.
What's the third one?
Oregon?
I haven't done Oregon either.
Well, you've been to one of the 3 states on the West Coast.
I mean, looking at the map, that is most of it.
Yeah, but you probably went to like the South.
I did San Francisco.
Okay, there you go.
North-ish.
Well, good for you.
I almost went to New Mexico, but we turned around right before we got there.
I went, what is it? Right at Hoover Dam. There's like you can cross over to Arizona, but there's that one spot because I saw it in Breaking Bad when you can go to all 4 states at the same time.
Yeah.
You should just go, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico. You should just go there.
Also, I know about the state of New Hampshire because of Breaking Bad.
I've been there.
You've been to New Hampshire?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I lived on the east coast of Canada, so I lived in in Nova Scotia,
there.
And we would drive. So I did the drive through. So it went Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and then upstate New York back into Ontario.
There you go. Live free or die, right? That's what the license plate says.
Yeah. Is that for New Hampshire?
Yeah, I think so. Isn't that where Walter White went in Breaking Bad? Or am I thinking of a different state?
No, that sounds right. Either way, a wild statement.
It is wild. Also means it's time for a rewatch of Breaking Bad.
Yeah. I actually have never rewatched it. I just watched it the first time through.
Oh, you got to watch it again. I've watched it probably 3 times through.
Well,
fantastic. All right, let's talk about other hockey stuff.
Let's talk about hockey. The Quebec Nordiques and the state province of Quebec and the city of Quebec City. I know where that is. I've been to Quebec City.
I've also been to Quebec City.
One of the best meals I've ever had in my entire life was in Quebec City.
Have you? Oh, tell me more about that.
We went to this very small, if you're ever in Quebec City, I know because I've sent listeners of this show to this restaurant. It's called Le Beligue. And I know that you know much more French than me.
Oui.
And so I don't know if that is what that means.
Le Beligue?
Like Billig. I
don't know I don't know if that's a word.
Anyways, go there.
And have what?
Best crepes ever.
Oh.
Like savory crepes and sweet crepes. We got so we started with this surf and turf, which like anytime I'm near an ocean, I always have to eat seafood. That's a rule. As someone who has a mountain range between me and an ocean, fresh seafood is not really that great. So
fair enough.
Got some of that and just like fried scallops and delicious, great food. But then this mushroom crepe came out and it was like this big on like a buckwheat crepe. Oh, with like a nice sauce on it, and then a lemon curd crepe for dessert.
Wow. So they do like those fancy crepes.
Oh yeah, this is a fancy crepe, but like very unassuming restaurant.
Yeah.
Not a big tourist place. Like we were using Google Translate to talk to the servers because we did not know enough French and they did not know enough English, which is, I think, is a sign that it's probably a good French restaurant.
Yeah, I mean that's Quebec City. There's English is pretty good there, but I think for the most part, they just talk to you in French, even if they know English.
That was the only place that I had any issue with it the entire time I was there.
So it's real French. That's how you know it was authentic. Authentic crepes.
It was good. So anyways, they are in talks to get a new hockey team.
Well, I don't know if I'd say they're in talks, but it was reported this week that have been conversations. Apparently, the premier of Quebec has said that he's going to be meeting with Gary Bettman about bringing the Nordiques back. There's no real, like, the NHL, of course, hasn't been very upfront about anything. Bill Daly said that they spoke to him on the phone. They don't have any further meetings planned. They're always willing to meet and talk about potential opportunities, but there's really nothing solid there. And I guess my question to you is, does this league work with 33 teams? Like, how do the Nordiques come back to Quebec City?
I think it's a move. I think that's the most.
It would have to be a relocation, right?
I think so, yeah. And I mean, it's easy to pin Arizona as the team to move, right? Because they are the one struggling the most right now and have been for forever. But also Gary Bettman is so stubborn that he really wants to make hockey in Arizona work. And so, like, logically of like which one should be the team to go, it's that. But I know that the NHL is so determined to make hockey work there because they've made it work in other like non-traditional hockey markets. I think that it would be difficult for them to like bite the bullet. Is that the saying I'm looking for?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And make the move back to Quebec.
I also feel like moving a team has got to be just worst case scenario for the league. Like, it just sounds like so much work.
It does, but I mean, I think back to when they moved Atlanta to Winnipeg, and that all came together incredibly quickly.
Yeah, it did.
Like, it went from rumors to like, oh, we're moving and we're doing it now. So in all reality, I mean, we've seen, I think it's much easier after what we've dealt with the last 2 years to be like, hey, you're moving. You just like, you're playing in a different city now. That's what you're doing. Because teams have done that, right? Teams have been like, hey, you're not allowed to play in your home state. You're not allowed to play here. You're going to play here. You're going to play in a bubble, right? Moving a team, not that big of an issue anymore, I don't think.
Oh, especially when the facilities exist already, like they do in Quebec City, right? They have the arena.
They built that. I mean, a great arena there too, right in the heart of the town.
Yeah. They built it for the NHL, and then the NHL said, nah, we're going to go to Vegas instead.
And then they tried again, and they were like, Seattle? They're going to fix their arena, and we're going to put hockey in that.
I have to admit, I don't think the Coyotes are going anywhere. I think you're right. The NHL has invested too much time in them to give up now. I also think like they have a new ownership group, right? Like it just switched hands last year or 2 years ago. They're working on a new arena deal. I think it's going to come down to what happens with this arena. Like they're not like, if they can't get this arena deal done, where are they going to play hockey?
Well, that's, I mean, because the arena doesn't want them there, right? Like they got kicked out by the city, but they've played this game so many times with Glendale and the Coyotes that it just feels like it's inevitable that it will get sorted out. Just a matter of when.
And there's just a little bit of posturing. Like we have another city that's ready to take your team if you don't want it.
Yeah, we've seen that in every single Canadian city at some point. I guess.
Remember when the league threatened to leave Edmonton?
And they did this, like Calgary tried the same thing, right? Yeah, we could move. Houston's calling.
Never going to happen.
No chance.
Maybe they should take a page out of baseball's book and just split the time. Have the team operate out of Arizona and Quebec City.
And so Quebec is the official home of halftime sports teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the Expos and the Rays. I was actually thinking about that this week. How would you brand a team like that? Because like
know.
The Coyotes, I have no idea what their plan is for baseball, because Montreal is not known for Rays of any sort, right?
No.
I mean, I guess now they've gone the sunshine route, and Montreal's not an unsunny city. But like Quebec's definitely not known for Coyotes.
No.
So you can't call them. Do you call it like the Arizona Quebec City Coyotes? How do you market that at all?
Also, they're just like overall look and feel of that, their logo, like nothing really plays into what you would imagine a Quebec City team to look like.
At the same time, I mean, have you been to Phoenix?
I have not. No.
So I actually think trying to remember in my head. I think like the last 5 places I visited, Quebec City and Phoenix are on that list.
Oh, that's interesting.
And there is possibly nothing similar between those two cities. No. There is not a single thing that they have in common that you could use.
So this plan would never work, which, by the way, was only just made up right now for this podcast. This is not being reported as a thing that's happening.
But they are trying it in other sports, right? So I don't see why they couldn't.
It's an interesting idea. Yeah, let's put one team in one time zone, another team in another time zone. I'm sure the players would love that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Do you want to have two? I guess you'd have to like just get housing for them in both cities. But
they should do it with the Carolina Hurricanes, since they're already a rival to the Canadians.
And so many people have gone, right? Like they've got that whole Quebec City trip to the Hurricanes, right? I think that would work great.
I agree.
I want this to happen now with any team. Just split it.
Never going to happen. But even the NHL's not progressive enough to make something like that happen.
When I think about this, though, like if you're splitting, right? Like, sure, you can say it's hard to sell out 41 games of the season. But if you're playing professional sports and you only have to sell 20 games, that's pretty easy to convince people to show up to, like, here's your 20 game ticket pack, or your 10 or your 5, right? Like a lot easier to sell tickets and get people out.
100%. I just think it would be an awful experience for the players. They'd always be traveling, even for their home games.
Well, you would coordinate it. So you would like do an East Coast road trip and then like go home to Quebec City for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you would do like, you'd go across Canada and then down like all of the state of California and the rest of the West Coast that apparently exists. And then go back to Arizona. So it would just be, you would just have like very long road trips and then very long homestands. You
sound like you'd make a good travel planner, Carl.
Look, NHL schedule makers, call me up. I'm pretty, my evenings are pretty free. And the new Halo came out, but I can find some time to do something else.
Fun fact about Phoenix, because I was supposed to go to Phoenix and we had to cancel the trip because that's when COVID hit. Like that's how close we were to going to Phoenix, like weeks away.
I was, I talked to you. I was supposed to be in Toronto.
Yeah, that's right.
You were to go for not opening weekend, but of baseball, but the second weekend of baseball. Dollar Dog Day, and it got canceled. No
baseball happened.
And then there was no baseball, so we didn't go, and we couldn't travel because nothing was open. Wild times.
Wild times. So no, Quebec's not getting their team back. I don't know why they're talking about it now, but I can't see it happening anytime soon.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's a way that the 20 or 33 teams can function.
No.
We saw, and I know we've mentioned this on the show before, but the the talk of the superstars in the NHL with penalties and things like that have kind of always been an issue, right? Are they getting the superstar treatment? And I think to the NBA last night, did you see the fight that happened?
No, I heard about it though.
So they're going for a ball. LeBron elbows a guy above the eye, cuts him, and he was not happy. They both got thrown out of the game, but I mean,
and they both got suspended afterwards too.
It was a very big temper tantrum. I mean, if someone's going to elbow me in the eye and I'm going to bleed, I'll probably be upset about it.
Yeah.
But I think both of them should have handled it a lot better. Anyways, but I think like the NBA, right, is one where like they let their superstars be superstars. And a lot of people have issue with this in the NHL. Do you think that it is an issue in the NHL with superstars not getting the calls that they should?
No. As an objective viewer or watcher, I've never like sat and watched a game and thought, oh man, this poor guy, he gets nothing called against him. The only reason it's even in my brain is because of people talking about it. But as just a watcher on my couch, no, I don't notice that.
I think that there's as many times as always, but it's what exemplifies it and makes it stand out more is the amount of times that like we're watching those players, right? Like, and I mean, this comes up today because Connor McDavid, there was comments. I think we might have even briefly mentioned it last week. John Tortorella's comments about McDavid having to change his game. And then McDavid kind of pushed back on that this week. But like, we're watching Connor McDavid. We're not watching Zach Kassian play with the puck a lot.
Yes. Totally. And also like Connor McDavid's better than everyone else on the ice. So everyone's half a step behind him. So, guys are always going to be reaching and tugging and pulling because they can't keep up with him. But
is that not a penalty?
I mean, it should be. Look, has anyone pulled up the numbers to this? Like, has he drawn more penalties than the average player?
I don't, if you had filibustered a little bit longer, I could have.
I don't even know if NHL.com has that stat. I know you can. It is somewhere, like maybe on one of those advanced stats websites.
Yeah. Like
if you just ask me point blank, my assumption would be yes, he draws more penalties than the average player. But if we look at that stat and it says he's drawing the same amount of penalties as league average, then I'd call it into question.
Right. So looking at this site, which does a terrible job reporting these numbers, he has drawn, they only list the top 20, and he is not on this list.
Of people drawing penalties?
Of drawn penalties. So the most penalties drawn in the league this year is Andrei Svechnikov. Then, I mean, we've got Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Marcus Foligno, Alex Killorn, Josh Mason. You actually have Zach Kassian on this list with 8 penalties drawn this year, but they don't go deep enough to give us where Connor is.
All right, here. I have penalties drawn per 60. This is on NHL.com. Okay, let me just refine this a little more because I'm getting players who have like one game played. So we'll put, how many games have teams played this year so far?
Like if you put it at 10, that'd probably 10. Be a good number.
Perfect. Okay, let's set it at 10. Penalties drawn per 60. The top player is Liam O'Brien for the Arizona Coyotes. Have you ever heard of this player before?
No.
He's drawn 4.13 penalties per 60.
And that's probably what he's playing 7 minutes a night.
Liam O'Brien. Nathan Bastian in Seattle. Jonah Gajovic in San Jose. Man, I don't recognize any of these names.
Okay, well, who's the first person you do recognize on this list?
Mark Borovecki in Nashville. Borovetsky. I can't say it. Forget it. 2.87 penalties drawn per 60. Now, let's see if I scroll down and I keep scrolling and I keep scrolling, and it feels like a comedy skit where like I just have a few words to say in the speech and then unroll their paper and it just rolls all the way out the door. I don't even see him in the top 50 here.
So are there any top players on that list?
No. Brendan Gallagher. I don't know if you'd call him a top player.
Well, like
Brady Tkachuk.
So that's penalties drawn per 60.
Yes.
Let's say the average player, a top player like Connor McDavid, would play 15 to 20 minutes a night.
Yep.
Okay. Let's say like 20 minutes. So if he's drawing, do you think that the average top player, like a McDavid, Ovechkin, Matthews, those players, do you think they're drawing a penalty a game? Are they having a penalty a game happen to them?
Nope.
I would say that that's probably fair, right? Like,
no, I mean, like I think they are in reality. I don't think it's getting called.
Right. Yeah. So I think that it should be, right? So they should be getting like about 3 penalties drawn per 60, which
you would think
is no one except for Liam O'Brien is the only one drawing penalties at that rate. So, I mean, there is, looking at the actual numbers like you just did, no one is actually getting the penalties drawn like they should.
So here, I found Connor, okay? 17 games played this year, 9 penalties drawn. So that's less than 2 per game. Penalties drawn per 60, 1.42.
So about half of what, in theory, we think that he should be getting.
Yeah.
Now, is that because the league doesn't seem to care? Should they care?
Well, yeah, I think the league should care about a lot of things that their refs are doing, but we see time and time again that they don't.
Fair.
They want the refs to be able to do their jobs free of any sort of accountability.
Well, so do you think, like, should we have, I know we talked about this last year, especially with the Tim Peel thing with the Preds and the Wings.
Yeah.
Right? We haven't gotten more accountability from refs, right? Like,
no,
it went from 0 to still 0.
Yes, 100%. Right? Like and nobody answers any questions about them. The league's not going to answer questions about the refs and calls that may have been made or not made. Like, I think to an extent, we have to accept that refs are human and you're not always, like, you're not omniscient. You're not going to see every inch of what's happening on the ice. And I think that's just part of the game. And that's okay.
But as the ref, right, there are 2 of you on the ice. Connor, like, these players are getting these penalties like happening when they have the puck. Like, I'm not super concerned about, like, you know, like off the puck penalties, right?
Yeah.
Like interference penalties, I'm not as concerned with. But, like, I'm talking about, like, the clutching and grabbing, the hooking that you talked about, right? These guys that are trying to keep up and can't. That's very easy to see. I'd give them zero excuse for that. Of, hey, I can't see everything on the ice. That guy literally has the puck. You have to be watching him.
What else are you doing?
Exactly.
Trying to catch their breath from keeping up with Connor McDavid, probably.
Yeah, I just don't get it.
It's pretty rough. And then, like, you layer on this whole other I don't know, this, like, culture of, like, you know, Connor McDavid gets ripped now for calling out the refs and for calling them out, and maybe he should have better relationships with the refs and he'll get more calls. I don't really agree with all of that, right? Because if they're calling the rules per the rule book, why does Connor McDavid relationship with you matter.
No, it doesn't at all.
It shouldn't. He should probably be getting more calls against him. I think what's super impressive is he keeps scoring goals the way he's doing. Did you see again? He did it this week against Winnipeg.
The entire team. He just got the puck in the D zone and skated through everyone and scored.
It's like the exact same thing. Like, I assume, because how could you not? Some video coach sat down the entire Jets defense and forwards, the entire team, showed them that goal. This probably happened across the league. They're like, look, this is look how he went through all these people. This is how you should defend him. And they were like, okay, got it, coach. It'll never happen to us.
Yeah. And then it happens to them.
And then it happens.
Yeah.
It's when it happened to the Jets, I actually kind of cringed a little bit. I was kind of embarrassed for them.
There was no space for him. It even looked like they did what they should have done. Like, they closed off those 2D in front of the net and he still split them and scored.
I don't know how he does what he does. It is impressive, though.
He's fast, he's strong, and he's good.
So good.
All right, let's take a break. We're going to follow up on two topics that we did not think would be the topic of conversation tonight. It's time for the Connor and the Coyotes, coming up after the break. 3, 2, 1.
I have to admit, Carl, when you texted me about Connor and the Coyotes this afternoon, I was very confused. Completely forgot that that's what we decided to name the segment.
Let's remind everyone, because this is our new segment. At the very least, has a new name. We've never had the segment named this before. The Connor and the Coyotes, where we look at the best of the week, the Connors, or the worst of the week, the Coyotes. And I know what I've got this week. My worst is pretty bad. I don't know what your worst is, though.
Yeah, you don't know what my best or worst is, but I know what both of yours are. So why don't you kick us off?
All right. Let's go best first.
Okay.
My best is the week that the Calgary Flames had. They just finished a road trip playing 6 games. And on that road trip, they took, I'm trying to find the actual number here, I believe it was 11 of 12 points on the East Coast road trip, and are heading back home, the hottest team in the league. They have 7 shutouts through their first 19 games of the season. I did not think that I would be sitting here saying that the Calgary Flames are the best of the week, but my goodness, the Calgary Flames are my best of the week.
Man, they have 11 wins. 7 of those are shutouts. They've only been scored on in 4 games this year, and 4 wins this year.
4 wins. Still, though, I mean, they've only been scored on in 12 games. Like, here's the thing. If you score on the Flames, you are very likely to win. I think that should be team strategies. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go out there and we're going to score. And if we score, we'll probably beat them.
Scoring goals wins hockey games?
It's a new strategy. I know.
Wow.
I didn't think that an old school coach like Daryl Sutter would be able to handle some of these nuanced kind of plans, but turns out he just makes it so that teams don't score on him.
It's pretty impressive. And I saw this awesome stat on Twitter by Corey Masisak. Anyways, Masisak 22. I'm having a bad week, eh?
This is our best pronunciation week ever. This is our greatest hits. We've got geography. We've got hard names to say.
Great segment names.
Yeah.
Okay. So apparently the Flames are just destroying the Eastern Conference this year. Okay.
Oh, I saw this one.
11-1-2 versus Eastern Conference teams. And 9 of those wins are 3+ goals.
Yeah.
There's 0-2-3 versus the West.
Yeah. So winless against their own conference, and unbeatable against the other one.
So weird. But good for them. I think we said it last week. Like, this is the Flames team that we thought we were going to get last year.
Yeah. But so on this road trip, right, they played 7 games, 3 of the 7 games were shutouts. 1 more was a win in regulation, 1 regulation loss, and 2 OT losses. So they went 4-2-1 on this road trip, but with 3 shutouts.
Wild. I mean, I'm sure they'll come down to earth at some point, but whoo-wee, is it fun for now?
But even, I mean, in those games, right? Like in their 4 wins, they scored 18 goals in 4 games in those 4 wins. So it's not like they're just getting these shutouts and they're winning 1-0, 2-0 games. They're winning with offense and defense and some really great goaltending.
And pretty balanced overall, right? Like their power play has been maybe a little better than average. Their PK has been maybe a little better than average. So, overall it's encouraging to see, because it's not like, there's just one aspect of their game that's hot right now.
Well, and their goaltending obviously is incredibly hot right now, but you're right? Like you look at the rest of it and it's sustainable to a large degree, right? Like, are they going to have the pace of 28, 30 shutouts this year? I'm going to say no.
Probably not.
But will they continue to be able to play well the way that it's going? Yes. And they're getting production kind of up and down the lineup, right? There is not just one person who's carrying them that's playing over their head. Andrew Mangiapane is, okay. He's going to come back to reality. He's not a 15 goal scorer so far. 15 goals in 19 games for him.
It's crazy. Never thought that name, which by the way, great pronunciation on your part.
One of us had to pull one of them together.
Never thought I'd be seeing that name as much as I have this year.
Well, there's no reason. I mean, he is a depth player that is having a great stretch.
Too bad he's not doing it in the playoffs. That's when you need these depth players to go.
Well, and that would get him a big old contract. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I mean,
big time.
I think that because if you look to like his other seasons, I'm trying to pull up his full stats. Like his career high in goals was 18 last year, 17 the year before. So like a really good third line player, second line player, but 15 and 19. Yikes. But good on him. I mean, keep it up. Outside of him, though, I think the rest of this team, offensively, defensively, are playing pretty consistently, playing pretty well. That I think will continue moving forward.
So when their goaltending eventually falls back closer to sea level,
yeah, when they don't have like a team goals against of 167 and a save percentage of 943. Yeah, when that becomes more normal, then we'll see them come back. What's
playoffs?
Yours? I think,
playoffs?
Yeah. I think at this point they've given themselves like a decent buffer. I mean, if they can't beat the Western Conference, they won't be able to. So I guess we'll see. With how much they have, it is weird schedule-wise. They probably should have called me for some scheduling help here. It's weird that the Flames have played this many road games. This many West Coast or East Coast
games. Yeah. So they may have a harder time with some of the West Coast teams. But I agree. I think they're a playoff team. So I mentioned that I knew what your worst of the week was because you sent it to me earlier today. And then I put my phone down and I went about doing my thing. And then I was like, I got to figure out my best of the week. And I started looking into things. I was like, you know what? My best of the week is going to be the Calgary Flames. Completely forgot that that's the one that you chose. But that's okay, Carl, because I've got another one that I think is interesting. Okay. This is a team that has the same record as the Calgary Flames over the last week. Okay. Which these two teams are tied over the last week since last Monday only. They have the best record in the league.
Okay.
0.875 save percentage. Points percentage.
Oh, okay.
Points percentage.
Okay. That's very different.
11 goals for, 8 goals against. I'm talking about the Arizona Coyotes.
Stop.
They went 3-0-1 this week.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
For them, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing for them. So I'm going to go with the team that we've named the worst after for this segment.
You're going to put them in the best.
They're the best this week. Shane Gostisbehere has something like 14 points in 19 games.
Well, so, I think that's not entirely unexpected. He's getting ice time. He's able to play kind of more of the style that he wasn't allowed to play in Philly. But here's my issue with giving them a lot of credit. So they played the Blues.
I'm not giving them a lot of credit.
But if we're calling them the best of the week, that of the entire league, with all the players, with all the teams, the only one of these games that I'm giving them much credit for is the Blues win.
Is it because I also just looked this up, which I hadn't done prior to right now? Is it also because the other teams they played were Columbus, Detroit, and Los Angeles, and all 3 of those games went into extra time?
Yes, that is 1,000%. So here's the thing. I watched, and do not ask me why, I watched the Columbus, Arizona game.
Oh boy. You wanted to see some scoring, eh?
Which is, I guess, because is a lie, because I told you this week that I didn't have a chance to watch much hockey. And but that was one game that I did watch for some reason. It was not very good. It was very sloppy hockey with just big runs from both teams. Neither team could play consistently. It was not high quality hockey.
Well, listen, Carl, they had the best record in the league this week. So what do you want me to say?
Numbers don't lie. I guess that's it.
The best record. And you know what? Our listeners come here for hot takes. Much like my Oilers are going to get 62 points this week take. Also, don't ask me how that's going because I'm not checking.
Yeah, we don't have to check that. That's fine.
The Arizona Coyotes were the best this week.
All right. Do you want to hear what my worst was?
I do.
Okay. Have you been to New York?
I've been to New York.
The city or the state?
The city's in the state, isn't it?
Yes. So you've been to New York City?
Yes.
Have you been to Long Island?
I have not. That's a separate state, isn't it?
No, that's Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
Long Island is there. The New York Islanders opened their new arena last night, UBS Arena. And so big event. I think the big thing we learned today, Greg Wyshynski did an article. They have 17 bars in that arena.
Is that, I don't know if that's a lot or a little. I feel like every arena I go to, every other stand is a bar.
Well, I'm not talking like a concession that sells it. Yeah.
That's a lot of bars.
That's a lot of bars.
That's like a neighborhood.
Yeah. Apparently there's a speakeasy in the arena.
But why?
I don't know. So it's great. Really glad that they've got a new home. People seem excited about it, better location, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully, definitely better than the arena they were playing in Brooklyn. That said, they opened there last night against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Did you see anything from that game last night?
I didn't, because I was in a kind of a long car ride, but we listened to some of it on the radio.
Okay. So, in that game, speaking of shutouts and things like that, the Toronto Maple Leafs won that game 3-0.
They did.
Mitch Marner, 2 goals, Andre Kasha, meaning that John Tavares has more wins in that arena than the New York Islanders do.
Whew. Was last night the first game? It wasn't the night before?
Was it the night before? I think that was
It doesn't matter. They lost both of them.
I was going to say they have lost both games. Yes. Yeah, Friday was the opener. Yes, you're right.
Okay, because I was going to say, opening the arena with John Tavares coming back, that would be I'd have a lot of questions around that.
No.
Why you chose to open that game.
You are correct. It was the Friday night against the Flames. Nonetheless, they are 0-2 in the new arena.
Yeah, still not good. I guess they still couldn't figure out the different kinks in the boards and the ice by the time the Leafs rolled in, hey?
No. Couldn't figure out how to fail at making the ice in the proper way. But hey, nonetheless, that's my worst of the week. That they had former Islander legend John Tavares has more wins in your arena than you do.
And I'm just looking at their, I guess, almost 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks for them now. They haven't won a game in a long time. The Islanders.
Yeah.
So if, their fans had any Tavares jerseys left to throw, I assume last night would have been the night.
They've dropped to bottom of that division. They're struggling in every facet of the game. They are the anti-Flames. Even their last win was a 2-0 win. They have not scored more than 2 goals. They've got one game in November where they've scored more than 2 goals.
Yeah.
They've got
that was against the Habs.
Exactly. Right. They won against the Jets 2-0. Then they gave up 5 goals, 4 goals, 4 goals, 6 goals, 5 goals, 3 goals. My goodness.
Well, it's crazy too for a team that's praised for their defensive play, right? These guys are supposed to be shut down, can't figure out a way through. And here you just rattled through it. They've given up, 4 goals or more in their last 5 games.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No. And what is interesting is the last number of years we've seen the Islanders go almost full tandem, right? Simeon Varlamov has played garbage this year. And so we're not getting that tandem with him and Elias Sorokin. So interesting to see where they go with this. A team that I would not be surprised. I mean, Lou Lamoriello is always willing to switch things up and make some moves. So, and they were designed to be a playoff team this year. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some moves happening there.
And on that note, American Thanksgiving is this week. Is that not the time that hockey people are this is when if your team's in it or not in it? And start to look for some moves.
And they're very much not in it right now.
Oh, not right now. I think this team's still better than they're letting on, though. It's just how deep are you going to let this hole go before you start to try to climb back out of it? Because you are getting to the season's still young, but there is a bit of a point of no return.
It is. And
you don't want to hit.
And that is both a close division. So them being at the bottom of it, they're not that far out, numbers wise, but they have so many teams to jump that it does become an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And look, this new arena thing, I have to admit, I had no idea where the Islanders were playing this year. I feel like there's been so much drama around their arena. They were in an arena. They went back to the old arena. I could not keep track of where this team was playing.
Well, now the arena's open. It's time to play.
There you go. You want my worst of the week? You need my worst of the week? Is it my turn now? I don't
need it, but I want to know your worst of the week. Yeah.
I think you'll enjoy it. And it just barely made the week cutoff. Okay. This is information I got from a tweet on November 15th. So this is last Monday, I think.
Was it tweeted after we finished the show?
Sure.
Perfect. Then it counts. Yeah.
So the NHL Network tweeted a list of players. And the tweet read, before we reveal our list, we want to share yours. This is the fan list of top 20 centers in the league. Okay. So before I read off this ranking, I want to say my worst of the week are NHL fans. Okay. Top 20 centers as voted on by fans of the NHL. Number 1, Connor McDavid. Number 2, Nathan McKinnon. Nothing controversial there.
Nothing wrong there.
Okay. You agree with that?
Now, Grant, before you get into the rest of this list, I find it interesting that you've given NHL fans the worst of the week, because so often you see the NHL Network put out their own list and fans just rip it apart. I'm curious to see how bad fan lists would be. So I'm curious. Let's see this.
Okay. Number 3, Sidney Crosby. Okay. He should be up there. Maybe a little high for where he is right now in his career.
Yeah, best presently. Yeah, I wouldn't put him third.
Patrice Bergeron, number 4. Same thing, I think.
Little of a historical benefit there. Yeah.
Number 5, Mika Zibanejad for the New York Rangers.
There's some real anti-Toronto bias here.
Number 6.
I'm not an Austin Matthews supporter, but he should be on this list by now.
Number 6, Kevin Hayes of the Philadelphia Flyers.
Stop.
And that was where I was like, okay, you know what? I'm out.
Mika Zibanejad, sure. Okay. He's good. I wouldn't put him 5th, but he's good. Kevin Hayes? Come on.
And another Flyer made the top 10.
You're right. That's the thing. He's not even the best center on his team. Sean Couturier should be on this list ahead of him.
Number 9.
2 Flyers in the top 10.
Yeah. Number 7 was Braden Point, and number 8 was Matt Barzal.
No. Okay. I mean, those 2, yes, I'm okay with those being in the top 10. But like, if there's a team that's getting top 2 centers, like, I mean, I would go Tavares Matthews. I would even, over Couturier and Hayes, I would go McKinnon and Kadri.
Ooh.
Don't you dare.
Okay. All right.
As of Kadri's having an amazing season. And clearly, recency bias is irrelevant to this list because they've got Sidney Crosby in both of his games he's played this year on it.
It's so true. He's been injured all year.
At that point in time, had Kevin Hayes, he hadn't even scored at that point in time when this list came out last week.
Was he even playing yet?
Goalless Kevin Hayes.
That's right. Number 10, Austin Matthews.
Good for him.
He should have been top 5. He should be top 5.
Yeah.
And then after that, you got Jack Eichel, Leon Draisaitl, Elias Pettersson.
That's right. Okay. The fact that if they're clocking Draisaitl in as a center, and I know that like he continually flip-flops where people give him credit for, but if you're counting him as a center and you're putting Hayes Couturier tandem over the Draisaitl McDavid, they've literally both won Hart trophies. And I know I disagree with one of them, but this list is the dumbest list.
Like Draisaitl should probably also be in the top 5. Jonathan Taves is number 14.
Nope.
Oh yeah, we can end it there. We don't need to talk about it anymore.
Let's head to our must-watch games of the week.
All right, let's do it.
There is nothing. I mean, should we let NHL fans pick? That's what we should do. We should pick what we think NHL fans would pick based on that list. What we think NHL fans would want to watch.
Oh boy, how many games are the Flyers playing this week?
Well, they are playing tomorrow night against the Lightning. So I know Braden Point's out for a while now, but you feel like the Flyers got to be there.
I agree. Let's do it.
Flyers, Tampa, tomorrow night. Wednesday night. We got more Flyers hockey. Is there a Panther on that list, though? Is Barkov on that list?
Barkov was like number 14, I want to say. 17.
This is unreal. The Ducks are playing. I assume they put Getzlaf on that list. Is he on there?
Getzlaf is not on the list, no.
Oh, well, that's so weird. I mean,
did you think this list was from 2008 or something?
I mean, it kind of sounds like it is. So do we go back-to-back Flyers? Flyers, yeah. Panthers on Wednesday? Okay.
I mean, if that's what the NHL fans would do, that's what we should do.
There is not a single game for the NHL on Thanksgiving, for American Thanksgiving.
On Thursday?
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So And there's a number of them on Friday. So we'll just skip to Friday. The Flyers play again. Do we go all Flyers this week? Who else is all right?
They're playing good teams though.
that is the problem with this. It would just become Flyers week. Are there any, because they're playing the Hurricanes? Did a Hurricane make the list?
Did a Hurricane make the list? No, not a single Carolina Hurricane is on this top 20 list of centers,
which is not correct either.
Can't be.
No. So I guess we can't pick the Hurricanes because they don't have someone on the list.
Darn. Are there any other teams that have 2 players on the list?
We got Rangers Bruins early with Zibanejad and Bergeron.
Oh, yeah.
So some top 5 centers.
Let's do it. 1 p.m. game on a Friday?
I was going to say, let's go with a late game then, since there was no game after.
Okay.
I'm just looking for teams that have someone on that list.
Florida, Washington.
Yeah. Kuznetsov's on that list? Or
Kuznetsov and Backstrom are both on the list.
There you go. So Panthers, Capitals. That's a 3:00 game. I'm going to have to schedule some tweets for those ones.
Yeah, no kidding.
You've been warned. 2 games that day at the worst times. 27th, that's Friday. That's Saturday, right?
27th is Saturday.
On a Saturday. Did you say Kachuk's on this list?
No.
Brady Kachuk?
No. Wait, did I?
Did you? I don't know.
No.
Okay.
No, come on.
Is there a Golden Knight on this list?
There's no Golden Knights on this list.
Of course not.
Oh, this is going to be a tough one. Nope. There are no 2 players on this list playing against each other, so I think we should go with Connor McDavid, number 1 on the list.
Number 1 on the list, Connor McDavid versus the Golden Knights. That'll be a good game.
Yeah.
On Sunday, we've got Washington, Carolina. No, Carolina doesn't have one on the list. Do the Devils have someone on the list? They're playing the Flyers.
The Devils don't have anyone on the list.
Did Elias Pettersson make it?
Elias Pettersson made it.
So Canucks Bruins?
Done.
Because the other option would be all right. And then Monday brings us. There's 4 games that night. This one does not have any matchups with 2.
No, and I think we should go
Canucks, Habs. You think we should go
do Pittsburgh, Calgary?
Yeah. See if Calgary can. I mean, they're playing another Eastern Conference team because apparently that's all that the Flames play.
Yeah, which means they're going to win, right?
That's what that means. Seriously, what are they this week? They play Jazz. Okay, they got a stretch here. Unreal though. Anyways, there you go. Those are our games of the week. Here's what you do with those games. And I know some of you send them in early. Some of you will DM them to me and have those ready. So send them on Twitter. We'll send out the tweets unless there's days like Saturday, which was a crazy day for me. And I didn't schedule the tweet. And about 20 minutes before the game, I said, oh no, I forgot to send it out. And only 2 people got their tweets in. And to those 2 people, thank you. And to the rest of you, I'm sorry.
Did any of them get it right?
No, it was I think Brian Rust scored the first or the game winning goal or
what? No one picked Brian Rust?
No. But I mean, we still we're better. We've got some more consistent, the people who score game winners are scoring them. So go to our Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast with the number 4 and pick who you think will score the game winning goal each game. You pick correctly, you get a point. Points get counted up. In December, we're going to hand out some big prizes. We're going to have some small prizes along the way, though. Pucks, hockey cards, stickers, things like that. We're clearing out the merch here at the Fourth Line Podcast on the Snides Tour, where we bring you the gifts. So send those over. And maybe we should talk, Nick. I just had this thought. We should do a 12 days of Christmas.
Oh, great idea.
I don't know what that's going to look like, but you heard it here first.
We'll talk about it.
We're going to do a 12 days of Christmas.
We'll come up with a plan for next week.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So head on over to our Twitter, head to our website, thefourthlinepodcast.com, where you can find more about the show. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, as well as at Full Press Radio and Full Press Hockey. So thank you to them for having us. Until next week.
It's time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. North Carolina, Kentucky, the Virginias. We're working really hard to learn our geographical areas.